We watched the video from PBS of Time for School 3, Part 1. I was really surprised as we watched it because I'm so used to American culture and school is just required all the way through graduation, or at least until you're at an age where you choose that you want to drop out or continue. It's generally about 16. But I was so surprised to see that there are countries where so many children don't even have that opportunity or that luxury of going to school. Um, Far too many were being pulled out of school to work. Like Neeraj from India, she was attending a night school, and so that she could work during the day and learn at night. And at one point, she was pulled out of school for 4 months for working. When she got back, so many people had already gotten so much further in their education that they continued on and moved to day school, and she was still kept back in night school. I just think that's so sad. I can't imagine being a young child and having to work instead of going to school. It just seems so foreign to me. I think it was really cool in Brazil. There are children who they're so wise beyond their years in all the countries that we watched, actually. But in Brazil, they typically only finish 4 years of school, and to me that is just mind-blowing. 4 years, I mean, you barely get your basics of learning how to read and how to write, how to do math. Not that you can't learn like street smart or you can't learn anything else, but formal education is just so important. I thought it was really cool in Brazil, their Christmas festival every year. The entry fee to get in is to bring 2 pounds of food to donate, and that's each person. That's how much it costs. So instead of spending money, you just donate food, and then all that food is donated to the community of the people who can't afford food. For me, that was really cool. We see a lot of that here in the United States with charities and organizations, a lot of canned food drives. But to see a country or a city, pull together so much, I just think that is so neat. And it's cool to see that it's not just here in the United States, that it's all over that people are doing the same thing. I think it's so sad. Jefferson in Brazil, his mother was afraid for her children. She had to work, and which means she's gone for most of the day. And she said her fears are that her daughter will become a whore, to quote, or her son will become a drug dealer. And I just can't imagine as a parent having those fears so strong because of the area that they live in. She tried to educate her children. She specifically mentioned that she told Jefferson that if he chose the same path as his friend, as a drug dealer, that, this is what's going to happen to his life. And she said it would, he will die. He could get in a lot of trouble, but it won't be a good life. And so she's really tried to raise her children to a higher standard. And I think in that situation you have to be strong enough to teach your children that, or they will fall to the ways of the people around them. What I didn't understand was he went through the 5th grade, and he had been able to skip a grade, and he skipped a grade, and so he was in 5th grade, and he worked so hard, and he studied a lot, and he was very smart. But then at the end of that school year, everybody graduated except for him and went on to middle school. And I just don't understand. I'm extremely perplexed because why move a child up a grade just to hold them back? It doesn't make any sense to me. Here in the United States, I know people who have skipped a grade and they graduate high school, at 17 because they had skipped a grade prior. But I don't understand that for him. He was so ready, and I feel like in that environment it's so detrimental because, as his tutor had said, if he gets held back a grade now and he has to repeat all the same work, then he's going to get bored with it. He could be upset and then decide he doesn't want to care about school. And so all these things are going to lead, or could potentially lead him to choosing a worse path in life instead of staying excited about school and their enthusiasm to continue learning. And I just feel like that's so detrimental, and that really bothered me when I watched the video. I also was thinking in one of the middle sections of the movie, they weren't focused on any specific child, but they showed a video of this group of young boys all together watching a video and on TV. And it's a small TV, no bigger than maybe a foot by a foot, and they're all gathered around, and they're all intently watching. And then you look at the TV and it has this huge streak of discoloration. And in the United States, so often when that happens, people think, oh, my TV's broken, now I have to go get a new one, and they upgrade, or they get it bigger or better, or maybe they stay with the same model, same price range, but they get a new one because of that discoloration. And here, that group of boys, or the family who owned it, they use it, and then they're not worried about that discoloration. They're just so excited to have a TV to watch. And it really made me reflect on how I take things for granted, not seeing the true appreciation for the things that I have. It just really, really gave me a good perspective. In Afghanistan, Shuguffa, she is a young girl going to school, and it's so sad to me that they have to be so afraid to go to school because of the bombings or the fear of the Taliban, and they now have to be completely searched when they're going into school because they never know who is going to be hiding a bomb or when. And my heart aches for that, because how do you know who to trust? How do you know who you can count on to talk to? And I feel like it would be so deceiving. You'd get to know people on a surface level, but you'd always be afraid to let them in too much and let them know you too well. I just can't imagine that fear and that inability to open up to other people around me. I was so amazed by Shuguffa because she works so hard. The men in her family, even the boys, they don't take care of any household responsibilities. That's the women's job in Afghanistan. And here she goes to school full time and she studies, but her study time is diminished because she has so many responsibilities around the house, cooking and cleaning, and everything is it's so basic, so they have to do all the extra steps. They don't have a grinder or anything. So as I watched these children in these different countries, I was so amazed by their ambition, their perseverance throughout all the trials that they have to go through, and their desire to learn. And it really gave me a good perspective to watch these children who try so hard to beat all odds that they will not go through school or finish. And I am just so grateful for their example.